Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm out at the range with two rifles you've probably seen before here on the Military Arms channel. The first rifle I have out here with me this afternoon is the SCAR 16S. The SCAR 16S is a 5.56 millimeter rifle. Another rifle that I brought out is the Bushmaster ACR. Now this is an older Bushmaster, meaning it was built in Wyndham. They've since been purchased by the Freedom Group. They've moved their manufacturing to a different location. Now they're owned basically by Remington. Now, if you remember, I was comparing these two rifles to each other in a couple of videos I did about a year ago, actually over a year ago. I want to give you guys a follow-up video because I still get a lot of questions about these two rifles and which one that I prefer. Some assumptions have been made by some of the viewers about which rifle I favored when I was shooting those videos, some biases they thought that I had perhaps towards the SCAR. So I wanted to give this follow-up video, let you guys know where I'm at after over a year of testing between these two rifles and which one I would personally take between the two of them if I had to pick a go-to rifle based on these two choices. So the first rifle I purchased was the SCAR 16S, which I have here. The SCAR 16S was one of the rifles I was really excited to get my hands on when they first became available on the U.S. civilian market. It represents probably one of the best evolutions of modern assault rifles that modern manufacturing can produce. The FN SCAR was adopted by the U.S. military and has been used throughout several different wars in the Midwest. Hopefully don't have any wars in the Midwest, in the Middle East. So the rifle has a pedigree of being an accepted military service rifle. It has been used, had pretty favorable feedback. There was some feedback from the troops regarding the stocks being somewhat cheap and flimsy and easily broken. Things like that. Also, some reports came back that they were rattling sights and actually destroying red dot sights and magnified optics. I've never had that problem, so I can't confirm or deny that that actually happens. But in my experience, the SCAR has been an extremely reliable rifle. It's an extremely accurate rifle for a chrome-lined pencil-barreled rifle. So overall, it's impressed me pretty well. Now, there are some things I like and dislike about both of these rifles. And I'm going to talk about the SCAR first, obviously, since I have it here in my hands. Some of the things I don't like about the SCAR. The stock. It is cheap and flimsy. It has a plastic latch system on it that if you're hard on it, you can break that latch. Third-party vendors have come out with a metal upgrade piece for this locking piece to prevent it from breaking if you're snapping the stock around. It's hollow. It's just kind of flimsy feeling. When I have it in my shoulder, it feels pretty good ergonomically. You have the riser, things like that, but it just doesn't inspire confidence. So it's one of the things I don't like. Another thing I don't like about the rifle is the reciprocating charging handle. If you watch this handle when I fire the rifle, it moves back and forth with the bolt. If you hold your rifle like this, like people like to do with AR-15s, you put your thumb up there, you'll only do it once or twice. You'll learn pretty quickly. It'll whack your thumb and it can cause malfunctions. Another thing I'm not too fond of are the sights. The sights are pretty good. I'd actually put them above the Bushmaster sights that it comes with, but the rear sight is easily knocked back and forth. You'll see it in video where sometimes a sight's like this. The sight just flips back and forth very easily. It doesn't lock into place, unlike the front sight, which does lock into place. It has a little locking lever required to depress to either open or close it. Why they didn't do that to the rear sight, I don't know. Fortunately, you have a 1913 style rail across the top of the rifle. You can fold this sight down. It's also dovetailed on. You can just take it off if you like, and you can just put whatever sight you want on it. I like to shoot with red dot sights, so I can live with that. Another thing about the SCAR that I found out pretty early on was I like to use PMags. PMags and the SCAR don't mix unless you modify those PMags to work properly in the SCAR. You can actually damage the rifle using PMags if you don't modify the magazine. I'm not going to go into the details of that. I do have another video up that explains how to modify your PMags, and I'll put a link to that video below. But overall, the SCAR, again, has been a very accurate, reliable rifle. I've had no problems with it. I shoot a lot of Wolf ammunition through it. I shoot a lot of other ammo through it, and I've never had a malfunction. I have two test rifles, one ACR and one SCAR, that I've just abused. They're both black. I've just abused them. I've never cleaned them. I run as much Wolf as I can through them to get them nice and dirty. Everything I can think of to actually cause or induce a malfunction, and neither one of the rifles have malfunctioned. Now, some of the things I do like about the SCAR. First of all, this rifle is very lightweight. It feels great. It has almost no recoil. A lot of that is due to the muzzle brake device. But also the rifle just in general has a very good feel to it. The recoil impulses are awesome. If you're used to the M16 AR-15, the rifle will feel very familiar to you. It has, after all, an M16 style pistol grip, A2 style. The controls are completely ambidextrous, except for the magazine, or I'm sorry, the bolt hold device, which is just like an AR-15. It's right here on the left-hand side of the receiver. However, you do have a magazine release on both sides that you can depress, so it's ambidextrous, and you also have a selector lever on both sides of the rifle that you can easily access. Now, one of the things I do like about the SCAR over the ACR is the fact that if you'll notice when I rotate this lever to the fire position, it's not hitting my finger. With the ACR, when I rotate it, this right-hand lever hits the top of my finger and makes it hard. I find myself pulling my finger away to flip it to the fire position. This is only a quarter turn from safe to fire, and it doesn't interfere with your firing finger. So basically all those things are things I like about the SCAR. Let's take a look at the ACR. This is the Bushmaster ACR. Now, just like the SCAR 16S, there are things I like and dislike about this rifle. Let's talk about some of the things I like about the rifle. First of all, I like the charging handle. The charging handle is non-reciprocating, so it can also be used as a forward assist, but when you fire the rifle, it doesn't move back and forth with the cycling of the rifle. That means you can shoot it with the thumb up position if you're inclined to do so, and you're not going to cause a malfunction or get whacked in the finger. The ACR also comes with a number of different stock options. Now, right now I have the polymer forend on it, but this is the enhanced model. It came with the railed system. I can quickly drop on a railed forend if I want to. I just have to push out one pin, slide one off, slide the other one on. I like the forend system. Another thing I really like about the ACR is the stock. This thing is solid. It's not hollow. I like the adjustments, how they work. I like how the stock folds, and there's been no reports of these stocks actually breaking. I like the riser. It's easy to use. Everything about the stock I like. It also has an internal storage compartment right here. I didn't show you this on the SCAR, but the SCAR does have a storage compartment in the butt pad. They store about the same amount of stuff. This one's good for storing batteries. I like how you disassemble the rifle. The rifle's very easy to use. It's very easy to strip all the way down to the trigger components. Doesn't require any special tools. The barrel on this rifle you can quickly remove. Now, one of the things I'm kind of hoping for, and who knows if we'll ever see it, are caliber conversion kits for the ACR. Bushmaster announced it had a 6.8 kit recently, but we've not seen them actually hit the market. We've also seen Bushmaster tease us in their catalog with different barrels, different length barrels, different weight barrels. But again, as far as I can tell right now, nothing's materialized. I can't seem to get my hands on any. But it does have a quick change barrel. You can quickly pop it off and pop it on. It also has a 1 in 9 twist barrel that's nitrided instead of chromed. I like that. I know a lot of guys out there don't like 1 in 9 twists. I shoot mostly 55 and 62 grain bullets, and I prefer the 1 in 9 for that. I don't shoot super heavy bullets, which is what's good for a 1 in 7. The 1 in 7 isn't so hot with the 55 grain ammo in terms of accuracy. So I actually like the 1 in 9. I also like the nitrite treatment. I think that's the future of barrel treating. I think chrome is going the way of the dodo, but you know, I could be wrong. It's one man's opinion. I generally like the ergonomics of the rifle as well. The rifle feels very comfortable to me. It points nicely. It feels very small. Compared to the SCAR feels like a big rifle, even though it's very lightweight. This thing feels really small and compact and just works really well for me. But there are things I don't like about this rifle as well. One of the things I don't like about the rifle are the sights that it comes with. These are Magpul backup sights. They're garbage. I've had a couple of them. Here's one example of one that I've broken. And you'll notice the spring doesn't work on it anymore. It just moves up and down. It's a black one from another rifle that I have. I also broke the original sight on the rear of this one just when I was doing some drop tests and things like that. I can snap these sights off relatively easily. They also have a real horrible sight picture. When you have the rear sight up and you're looking through it, it obscures most of your target area. It's just a bad sight. It's truly a backup sight. You wouldn't want to use these as primary sights. But fortunately, 1913 style rail across the top, just like the SCAR, so you can get rid of the Magpuls and put something good on there. Another thing I don't like about the ACR is the weight of the rifle. The rifle's about 1 pound heavier than the SCAR, and all that weight is out front. The rifle is very nose heavy. I've gotten accustomed to it. I actually don't mind it, especially if you're shooting offhand and you're shooting for groups. that extra weight actually helps. But if you're having to hump this thing around all day, that weight doesn't help, and it being muzzle heavy actually wears on you. I mean, in the military, they would make us do this with our rifles as punishment and hold them out in front of us. You definitely want to do that type of punishment with the SCAR versus the ACR. But overall, I think that the rifle is a good quality rifle. Hold on, I got one more ding. As I mentioned when I was talking about the SCAR, watch the selector lever. When I go from safe, which is the current position, to fire, it wants to hit my finger. I have to move my finger away to get it to the safe or the fire position. So that really does bother me. You can actually Dremel this off if you're so inclined. You can round that off, so basically you're giving up your ambi selector lever, but you know, I don't really use it all that much anyway, although you will notice when I'm firing the rifle, when I go from fire to safe, I use my finger and sweep it back like that. It's a lot easier because this lever is also very tiny, and when you're going back to safe position, it's hard for me with my goofy long thumbs. So I'm sure you guys are asking yourself right now, which of the two rifles would you pick? I've weighed these two rifles, the pros and cons of each of them, quite a bit over the course of the last year or so, and without really giving it much thought, I've just slowly gravitated to one of the rifles over the other. When I go out just to go shooting to walk the property, there's one of the two rifles that I'll grab if I'm not grabbing one of my AKs. There's one of the two rifles that I'll always grab over the other one. So I slowly started to realize I'm definitely favoring one of the rifles. The rifles are very, very close in my mind as to which one's better for my use. Now I'm putting the caveat in there for my use. I realize what I may like isn't what you may like, and we all have different reasons for liking and disliking things. I will say I don't dislike either rifle. I think they're both very good rifles. But the one that I tend to favor is the Bushmaster ACR. Now let me tell you why I favor the Bushmaster ACR. First of all, the charging handle on the SCAR absolutely drives me nuts. I hate it. I wish they would have made it non-reciprocating. I'm one of those people that doesn't learn his lesson. When I'm in a big hurry, I tend to grab with a rifle like this, I put that thumb up there, and I keep causing malfunctions with the SCAR. I can't seem to break myself of it, so you can fault me for that, but I absolutely hate the charging handle on the SCAR. I also dislike the stock on the SCAR. I've tried to give it, as much leeway as I can, but I simply dislike the stock. It feels cheap to me. I'm convinced, you guys see how I handle my rifles. I don't baby them at all. I'm fairly convinced that if I just keep banging it around, I'm eventually going to break that thing, and I don't want to have to buy a third-party part to make it work right. I think that F&H should probably revisit the design of that stock, and they probably are. I know that that rifle is evolving just like the Bushmaster ACR is, or I should say the Remington ACR. I like the ergonomics of the ACR over the SCAR. I like that smaller feel to the rifle. I like how it handles. I have gotten used to the barrel weight. The one ding that I didn't like, it does take some getting used to. I realize some folks don't like it, but I like the way this rifle handles. I like how it points. I like how it carries. It has quick detach points already built into the rifle. If you have the railed forend, you have a couple of other options with mounting slings. I like the fact that it has QD mounts. The SCAR doesn't have QD mounts. It just has regular HK style hook mounts. So overall, the ACR is the rifle that I would choose. I've gotten past the selector lever, I've gotten past some of the other dings on the rifle, and I've never had any of the problems that other people talk about that they've had with their ACRs. Things like the rifle not firing 5.56 ammo. I feed this thing, both the rifles I have, I feed them everything, and they eat everything. Right now, if you take a look at what's in here, that's wolf. That's what these things eat primarily. It never has a malfunction. I can honestly say none of the rifles I'm talking about here today have ever had a malfunction with wolf ammunition. And also there have been some reports of the ACR damaging its bolt. I've watched my rifles, both of them, very carefully, and I see no signs of any types of internal damage. So either I'm really lucky or there's a couple of bad rifles out there that people have gotten their hands on, which does happen. Doesn't matter if it's FN or Bushmaster, everybody puts out a lemon every once in a while. As a matter of fact, with the FN SCAR 16 and 17, you can notice you have to pick your rifle very carefully, because if that rifle's not centered in the receiver, you'll have a hard time zeroing the rifles. I've actually seen SCARs, fortunately not mine, but I've seen SCARs firsthand that you couldn't even zero them with the iron sights because the barrels were so cockeyed in the receivers. So everybody can make a lemon every once in a while. My ACRs have been top-notch and work very well. If you have any questions about the Bushmaster ACR or the SCAR 16S, you can ask those questions on our Facebook page. You can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/military arms. As always, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for those subs. We'll talk to you guys soon. recent video, you guys commented about me putting rifles and stuff like that on the hood of my Jeep, and you're saying, hey, you're going to scratch up the hood of your Jeep. And of course I respond back, yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's a worked vehicle. Well, I think I may have changed my mind. Look at this. I don't know if you can see that. Those are some pretty thick scratches. And those scratches came from the FNH SCAR. So I got to be honest with you guys, one of the reasons I don't like the SCAR as much as the ACR is because it scratches up the hood of my Jeep. That Belgium designed, American made thing scratched my American beauty. So go ACR.